Welcome back to Tel-Over episode 46. We just saw a beautiful animated motion graphics clip featuring Teamworks and Yam Raffaeli. I actually got to this video because my next door neighbor is an extremely talented animator and 3D modeler, Jonathan Navarro, and he was the one that made this beautiful animation for this clip. This clip, of course, is about the horrendous massacre and tragedy that happened in the Nova Festival on October 7th. And I think it's a beautiful piece that was worthy of showing. So I hope you managed to enjoy it or managed to be moved by this piece called Until We're Falling Down. Yanzi, any notes, any words you'd like to share regarding teamwork?
That's amazing. I can't add anything more. I just took off my Santa hat because we are moving now to the serious part of this episode. You see, I discovered the Israeli music scene in around 2014, 2015, and one of the first bands after I discovered the scene to come to Hanover was a band that was already quite famous in Israel and also even in Germany, Europe. Were a collective, an amazing band from Tel Aviv. One of the founders, he's a multi-instrumentalist. His name is Roy Rieck. I remember inviting them to Radio Lionhearts for an interview and seeing them live in a circus tent in Hanover, in this part of the city. I also remember that later that year, Guy Landau from Lollermarsch told me that he talked to a collective and they said that this was one of the best concerts ever they played in Hanover. I can only agree. Now Roy told us that the band is right now on hiatus. They didn't really break up, so maybe in the future we'll know. But anyway, he is involved in a project called First Light. I came across a couple of weeks ago when they posted the first video, which was in fact by Netta Barzilai. You remember her? She won the Eurovision Song Contest a few years ago with an amazing song. And before that, she was part of the Tel Avivian indie scene. I think the first time I heard of her was when she performed with an old friend of mine, Omri Skop, for Balcony TV, doing all the stuff with her sampling and loop box and everything called Potato. And then I was really following her. She's still involved after winning the Eurovision Song Contest with the Tel Avivian indie scene. There's various projects she's doing. So she has a very, let's say, widespread output. But this one was more or less really serious because her drummer's brother was actually one of the hostages that managed to escape from captivity and sadly were shot by IDF soldiers after running away, and they took them in that situation. Nobody really knows what happened, but anyway, so we teamed up with Roy Rieck, who is very involved in this. He's been also working as a video director recently and the thing is that they're connected to a big NGO in Israel and collecting donations. We will talk about that later. Anything to add, Fafa, before we, switch to Roy Rieck?
We have a beautiful interview coming up with Roy Rieck. I actually got to know Roy during Corona. It was, I think, the third quarantine in 2020 around November, where I just arrived back from Germany. I was in Hanover for half a year with you, Yanzi, and I returned to Tel Aviv. I lived in Yafo in a beautiful loft, and I met Roy Rieck via Karen Tannenbaum, which is a very close friend of mine, of ours. And they were working on the second wave, which was the previous project he was involved in, with a very, very similar agenda as this one, as First Light. And it's beautiful to see that he's continuing his legacy with absolutely beautiful visuals and amazing, talented artists that are taking part completely pro bono in these beautiful projects. So have a beautiful time watching the interview. It's very, very interesting and insightful, and we'll see you in a few minutes.